What's up guys, Chef Nate back again with another dope video for you. This week I'm going to be showing you how to make gyozas, also known as Chinese dumplings. Let's get it on. Right guys, first up let's start by making our marinade for our pork. These are going to be pork gyozas. You can pretty much use any meat that you want and this marinade will go fantastic with all of them. So these are classic, pretty much classic Oriental ingredients. I've kind of thrown in a couple of little oddballs in myself just because I can. So let's start with our coriander here. I'm going to use about 15 grams of coriander. This is going to make quite a few gyozas, so whatever you have left over, you can always keep in the fridge. It'll keep for a good week in the fridge. And you don't have to just use it for this. You can use it for putting it on some fish and baking it on some fish, marinating chicken and just having it in the oven like that. Loads of different ways to use this marinade. It's a great marinade. Here I've got 15 grams of parsley that I'm gonna use. Just give that a rough chop because I'm using this little 3-in-1 blender that I've got. So it's all gonna get blended down anyway. Okay, I've got a couple of garlic cloves. I'm just gonna throw those in whole. I've got 1 red chili, and I'm gonna leave the seeds in. I like it kind of spicy. If you don't want it spicy, take the seeds out. Got my lime. Roll that lime to get that juice flowing inside there before you cut it. And then slice that in half. Squeeze that lime in there. And the other half. So we've got our citrus, we've got our spice from our chilies. We've got that freshness from the herbs. I'm gonna add the bottom end of these spring onions, and I'm gonna save this half for our sauce and our garnish later. And this bottom half has more of the onion flavor, and that's actually what I want in the marinade. So we'll get those in there. I'm gonna use about half of this green bell pepper, just to get a little bit of fresh peppery flavor in there. Then I've got some sesame oil. I'm gonna put a couple of tablespoons of sesame oil in there, and that's everything. Oh no, and same with amount as soy sauce. This is dark soy sauce. That's what's gonna add the salt content. So a couple tablespoons dark soy going in there as well. And now we blend. All right, so when that's done guys, give it a little taste. For salt, see if it needs more. Soy sauce, I think that's good. All right guys, I'm just gonna transfer this marinade over to a bowl and show you how we do the pork. Right, I've got some great pork here. It's just pork loin. As you can see, it's got great fat marbling in it, lots of intramuscular fat, so add lots of flavor. What I'm gonna do is probably chop these into thirds, bang those in there. I think I'll pulse a couple at a time so the machine doesn't struggle too much. Back on with our lid and just pulse these up into make our own sort of minced pork. Perfect. So I'm gonna grab a mixing bowl and transfer that pork into this bowl. Then I'm just gonna do the same with the rest of the pork. All right guys, next we're gonna add our marinade to our pork. So like I said, this is a lot of marinade, so I'm not gonna use all of it. I'm definitely gonna save some to use it at a later date. I'll probably use half of it for the amount of pork I had. That was about 500 grams of pork. So the amount of marinade that we just made, all you need is half of that, and that'll be perfect. Get your hands in there, get it all mixed up. And this is pretty much it guys for the gyoza filling, that's it. Super simple. You can add extras. You can add whatever you want actually into this guys. It's totally up to you. If you like the taste of coriander more, add more coriander. If you want it more spicy, add more chili. It's totally up to you. This is such a carefree recipe that you can pretty much just throw anything else in. I'm pretty sure that if you went to China, if you went to Japan, that they would have cabbage in there and different vegetables to kind of bulk out the mixture and to add different textures. Me personally, I'm a meat eater. I love meat, so I'm just gonna keep it pure meat and flavors so that I can have a really meaty dumpling. But yes, that's perfect. That's done. We'll sit that to the side. We'll start on our wrappers, and yeah, then we'll start making them. All right, guys, it's time to make our gyoza wrappers. Here in front of me, I have 250 grams of plain flour. I'm gonna bung in about teaspoon of salt. I'm not gonna add too much salt to either the mixture or the flour because I'll show you later we're gonna make a little dipping sauce, and that's gonna be quite high in salt because we're gonna use, the base is gonna be the dark soy that we used earlier. So you don't need to add a lot of salt because you want to be able to have that dipping sauce without it being too salty. Here I've got some warm water. It hasn't got to be like boiling or anything, just nice and warm. I don't know how much that is, but I'm just gonna pour it in and give it a little mix. And basically all you wanna do is just bring this together to make a dough. Like, it's literally as simple as that, guys. So as I pour, I'm gonna keep mixing slowly, adding a little bit by bit so you don't drown it. So that's pretty much come together. And then in a second, I'm gonna dump it out on the side. I'm gonna flour my side, and then dump it out. Flour your side, guys. Shake it, shake it, shake it. All right, I'm gonna dump my dough out. All right, and then I'm gonna start bringing this together. Give it a quick knead. Again, if you need more flour, add more flour. Stop it sticking from all over. You're not making bread or anything, so you haven't got to go crazy on the kneading. Just literally bring it together as a dough. And then keep your board nice and floured because it has got warm water in it. It will be a bit stickier than if it was cold. All right, guys, now next one I'm gonna do is just roll this out. All right, guys, so I split the dough in half and I just rolled it out to about 2 millimeters thick, so actually really thin. You don't want it to be thick at all. I split the dough in half because at first I left it all together and it just stuck and made an absolute mess. So to make it easier, keep moving it around, make sure that you can lift it up and it doesn't stick to your surface. I haven't got a cookie cutter or anything like that, so I just got an old, what's this called, a measuring cup, and I'm just gonna, anything circular, anything about around the size, maybe a bit bigger than a coffee mug, then I can just cut these out into little circles like this, and just sit them to the side. So I'm gonna carry on doing these until I have them all cut out. I'll then roll this piece out, repeat the process, and I'll have all my Gyoza wrappers ready, and then I'll show you how to make them. Right, guys, now I'm gonna show you how to make your actual dumpling. So I've just got my dumpling wrappers out here now. I've got some water, I've got my mixture, a little bit of extra flour. I've got a plate that we just dusted with some flour and my first wrapper ready to go. I haven't rolled it all out because, like I said, these are great for instance, I'm gonna probably keep the rest of my dough and the rest of my mixture for later or for tomorrow. I can make more. Just pop them into the fridge or to the freezer, whatever you wanna do, depends how long you're gonna keep them. So yeah, so let's get started. So I've got a spoon here. I'm gonna get maybe half a tablespoon's worth on a wrapper this size. I'm gonna put it onto 1/2 of my wrapper. Try not to overfill it because it will break. I know it's probably tempting to, but try not to do that. I've got my water. The reason for the water is just to dab around one edge of the wrapper, so that will help it stick. And then I'm gonna fold it over, using my thumb just to keep all that mixture in there. And then what I like to do is just pinch, 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 just to get that little ruffled effect. This is definitely not how a top Chinese or Japanese chef would be doing it. So if there are any chefs out there watching me, don't judge me. But it's as simple as that, guys. That's it. I like to sort of push it down so I can have a nice flat bottom, because that's when I want to put them in a frying pan. I want them to stand up just like that. So that's it. I'm gonna carry on the process, and when these are all done, we'll start cooking them. Right, final step now, guys. We've got our pan heated up to a medium-high heat. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil to my pan. Also, I'm actually gonna use a little bit of this sesame oil that I've got, just to add like a little bit extra flavor. And then add our Gyozas. I like to just line them up. Make sure they're standing up. And make sure that you can hear that sizzle. And on that side. All right, cool. So I'm gonna let those cook for a little while. Just to try and get a nice brown crust on the bottom of them. Let that pastry cook on the bottom. All right, so these have been cooking for a couple of minutes now. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna gently lift one up and check the bottom. As you can see, the bottom's nicely browned. So once we get that brown, I'm gonna check a couple more of the other ones. Yeah, that's nicely brown on the bottom. So before they start to burn, I'm gonna add a little splash of water to the pan. And then immediately I'm gonna put a lid on top. I don't have a lid for this pan, So I've got some foil, as long as you can cover the pan and keep the steam inside. That's what we're gonna do now. So we've got the nice seal on the bottom, and then we wanna finish cooking the inside of the pork and the rest of the dough by steaming. So a little bit of water goes in, and then seal the pan with either a lid or, like I'm using, you can actually even just sit your towel on top like that. Just secure it. And then within a couple of minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, the insides should be cooked. Again, I'll use my food probe, make sure that the pork is up to at least 75 degrees Celsius. You know it's perfectly cooked. Right, our gyozas are almost done. They're about a minute or two off. I'm gonna make the dipping sauce that I told you guys about earlier. So let's start with a tablespoon or so of dark soy sauce, the same amount of a sweet chili, any sort of sweet chili will do. I'm gonna use a little bit more, maybe half a tablespoon of sesame oil. Here I've got some spring onions, some parsley, and some coriander that I've just chopped all together. And I am just going to put a pinch of that in there. I'm gonna keep that, the rest of it, to garnish the top of our gyozas. Give that a little mix. Right, now it's time to check our gyozas are done. Right, they look great. So I'm actually gonna probe them just to be sure. Perfect, yeah, that's gone straight up to 85 Celsius, so that's perfect. I've got my tongs here, I'm gonna get those straight onto the plate. And we're just gonna line those up. Right, now that these are all done, I'm just gonna use a little bit of this garnish that I had left over. Sprinkle that on my plate and over the top. There we have it, guys, our Chinese dumplings, also known as gyozas. All right, as you know from before, my favorite part of the week is the taste test. I'm even gonna make a fool of myself and try and use these chopsticks. Let's see if we can make this work. First time, gotta have that dipping sauce. Banger. Banger. Thanks again for watching this week, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you try out this dope recipe, and there'll be another one coming at you next week. Peace.